So this is game number 1, as I said, of a best of 3. It's the winners bracket round 2. So that's actually the quarterfinals of the winners bracket, which is a nice spot to be in. 2 qualification spots for IEM up for grabs, and spawning down in the lower left-hand position, representing Team Acer, the Red Terran player, MMA. And his opponent up to the top left, the Blue Terran, representing himself. It is YoDa. Can't believe how YoDa is still teamless. Like, literally just crazy that he's teamless. He's such a good player. He just took out Snoot to get here. MMA, of course, took out teammate Nurchio. Those are both battling it out in the losers bracket right now. King Sejong Station, it's a cool map. Was in the Season 2 map pool, so has survived one further. Cool places to proxy around this map. Cool places to get airdrops in. Cool places to get Banshee through. So I suspect we'll be seeing quite a tech-heavy opening, and indeed these two are going for that. Gas first from both of these two. They're looking for a fast factory coming out. It'll be interesting to see how these play. TvT is such a strategic mirror matchup. It's very exciting to see kind of build orders, decision-making, that sort of stuff. Even if they do go like really similar builds, say fast factory into the fast starport, it doesn't necessarily mean they'll both go Banshee. Raven and a Viking opening are really common directly to counter that sort of Banshee plays. So there's lots of back and forth, there's lots of decision making, and some of it, especially the build orders initially, are pretty much blind. It's very rare you'll be scouting before you make the call between a Banshee and a Raven, for example. So waiting at the moment to see when and if one of these two decide to move forward. Of course, big shout out to everyone who has followed the channel. The last follower was Velocity Girl. Thank you very much for following the channel. Of course, I cast lots of StarCraft on here. Play lots of other games too, so do check that out. Sub if you can. All the money goes into putting on more show matches and stuff, which you may have seen some of those. Waiting at the moment to see what these two do. Not any variation in the builds as of yet. This supply depot placement, I'm going to make a thing of this. It's really cool because there's a little ledge here. And so due to that ledge being in position, there is always the option of Reapers coming bouncing up. So this would just give MMA a bit of advance notice. Proxy Reapers are something that can happen on this map. It certainly works well. But not what we're going to be seeing here. Both players grabbing their refineries up. MMA's fractionally sooner, like really fractionally, a couple of seconds quicker through there. Wait to see on the starport, and what actually comes out of it, that's probably going to be the next big decision. No scouting from either player, neither wanting to move forward as of yet, both just happy going about what they're doing. Both players adding in that starport. Tech labs should come down for both of them, although not yet for YoDa actually. He's not going for that tech lab. Okay. Hellion's coming out. Is he going to... Okay, he does go for the tech lab now. If he'd gone for the reactor or something and got out a lot of Marines, it could have been a Hellion drop. But with the tech lab coming through, it's much more likely to be Banshee. Unless something really funky was going on. Could also be a Raven. Same for MMA. It could be a Raven, could be Banshee at this stage. So definitely options available. And the advantage of going the Banshee is potentially you can get some damage. The advantage of going the Raven is it just is safer. If you go for the Raven and your opponent goes for Cloak Banshee, you just win. You win a lot. Both going to go Cloak Banshee though, so this is where fun really gets in. Both players going to be trying to get some harassment through. Do you have the first scout coming out for YoDa? It's just going to be the one Hellion, so this is purely for scouting information. Won't be able to get up this ramp. There is a lot of Marines there. Get a couple of shots off. Won't be able to kill it though, so no effective scout comes through. Both players also adding in the Widow Mines. The Widow Mines are going to do a lot to try and hold off any early pressure. They can also do a lot of damage up to those Banshee if they're uncloaked when they fly over them. So options available, and that's really the big thing. It's why I love this matchup as a whole, because not only is it strategic in the placement, but there's lots of options to deal with a variety of different builds from your opponent. It gets very micro intensive. Good little touch here, repairing up that Hellion. It's something which lower leagues you see that come out quite a bit. MMA going for the Raven off the back of this, and I suspect we'll be seeing the same from YoDa, and indeed we are. Because getting out that Banshee first to harass, getting the Raven off the back of it should mean that you're safe. I don't 100% know, but I'm assuming that the timings mean that you get that Raven pretty much when it comes across. Both Banshees going to high five. Both are going to be pretty confident now that they've been seen. And since they're both getting the Banshee, they're both going to assume that there will be Ravens there. Ooh, Widow Mine in position. MMA realizing that and being like, oh, he couldn't see it, but he's going to be sitting there going, there could be a Widow Mine here. That Widow Mine's not going to be able to get the shot off. It's coming in completely from the side now. A couple of Marines on their way over. Cloak is done for both of these two, remember. Straight through it goes the Ravens. Just about to pop. So a little bit of damage will be done by both. Scan being spent. only on YoDa's side. MMA didn't go for the scan, but that also means that he hasn't killed off this Banshee yet, losing a couple more. The Raven doing some good damage for YoDa, having 6 kills so far. MMA's, it's got 7 kills, but that's less workers at the moment. Only just now starting the worker kills. Auto tower came down. That was actually an overkill, but better to be safe than sorry. YoDa's Banshee's still going. He's killed off 6 SCVs compared to only losing 1. That actually gives him an advantage of 5. So a 5 SCV advantage is nothing to scoff at. It's certainly a good little chunk. Both players are within a second of each other on their command centers. It just really does give credit to how refined these builds are, how confident they are in their ability. But YoDa does take that small lead, and when they are so close in everything else that they're doing, a little lead like a 5 SCV chunk is gonna potentially make a massive influence on the outcome of this game. MMA is now getting a bit more aggressive. Of course, he's pushing out across the map, and defender's advantage states that whoever's defending has better production. YoDa coming through there, getting a couple of shots off. Not quite sure what he was planning there. Hopefully he didn't kill anything of his own stuff. MMA has lost a little bit more, 700 resources compared to 569, so again, minor differences. Tanked in a good spot, and this is covering the entire ramp. It's going to be very hard for anything to come through here. The Widowmine is trying to burrow up, actually. The Raven will be able to see it, will detonate, and takes out a Raven. That is a massive hit. The Raven for MMA will also die. The air superiority now going through to MMA. The Banshee should be able to take out the tanks. The Viking just going to start chipping off, and again, that was another favorable trade overall for YoDa. His 2 Banshees staying alive, pushing forward. Going to probably go and attempt a little bit more harassment if possible. MMA, he's literally got 2 Marines and a Viking at the moment to try and defend against that. So the Viking will help. YoDa deciding against moving forward at the moment. He's now got a tank advantage by 2, and that's quite important. These tanks are going to give him a lot of safety. He is still up in the work count, although that could get changed if this Banshee gets too many kills. Only 2 Marines out on the field for YoDa. That's going to make it very hard for him to stop this. He's got more Banshee of his own coming through, trying to get out a Viking pretty pronto. If this Banshee can rack up, well, just 1 more kill, it will take the work account in favor of MMA. MMA going to be very happy with that. It's actually racking up a huge number of kills now. This is getting quite insane. 11 workers down. Should get 12 and will temporarily stop that missile turret building. This is painful. Really painful for YoDa. He is getting slaughtered on that SCV line. Will go for the scan as well, just to try and stop it. 18 kills on that Banshee. Now YoDa's coming in. He's going to try and get some counter damage done from that, but just flies over the missile turret. It is going to complete. We'll be able to get a couple of shots off, although it is granted detection. So right on the edge here, can pick off SCVs in the refinery, but they can just get pulled to safety. All in all, 11 workers killed to 17. The work count now heavily favoring MMA. And so that gives MMA a solid lead in this game now at this stage. We'll also take down YoDa's Banshee. So good little pick off there. The Raven coming over just pretty much made that certain. So let's take a stock check. 3 tanks to 2. 9 Marines to 4 in MMA's favour. So both players have small advantages. The work count is quite good for MMA though. He was down previously before this. So swings and roundabouts. It's really tough to try and actually get a decent shout of what happens through. Keeping a check on any other big decisions. And this is probably the biggest variation so far. We've got a 3rd CC coming down from MMA. This is going to enhance his economic lead if he's able to basically take it relatively safely. Not getting too broken in terms of any aggression coming in. Because going for that 400 minerals does of course stunt some of his production. So YoDa will be a bit more aggressive. Or could be more aggressive. +1/1 infantry attack coming down on both sides. Combat shields also coming down on both sides. This is a very interesting spot to be sitting in. YoDa going to be trying to go for a bit more damage with this Banshee. Will scout the fact that the 3rd CC is coming through. It's going to be able to pick off a couple of these constructing SCVs. And that's damage getting done. It's always important. We'll get a bit close to leveling out the work count. Although a Raven and a Viking coming across. This Banshee pretty much guaranteed to die at this stage. But did he do enough? Not quite. MMA, he is still up in the overall worker lead. YoDa patrolling around with a Viking. Just trying to keep a check on anything that's trying to sneak on by any more Banshee from his opponent. But YoDa now, moving forward, going to be getting aggressive. Sees the fact that the 3rd CC is there and it says, okay, well, there's no way you can be matching me on production right now. Unfortunately, MMA has got defender's advantage. He only needs one more tank out to level that count, and it will be done by the time YoDa pushes across the map. So I'm excited to see how YoDa is going to try and deal with that, because MMA and his superior economy that he had for the last couple of minutes, and still does have, is going to be pretty much level in the army supply count. YoDa only slightly up overall in that. Loading up the Doom Drop. Can he get through? If it gets in a good position, it will be quite tough for MMA to stop this, but it's got to get there first. Missile tower being constructed, but it won't be done in time. Boost comes forward. The scan goes down. Just take a look at this army and the positioning of it. YoDa drops on down. Getting the first siege is very, very important. It's going to make it a lot more harder for MMA to trade with this. Viking coming forward. The tank's sieging up. Just within range of YoDa's. YoDa's taking a bit of splash damage. One will get taken down first thanks to bigger hits. The Marines still pushing forward, trying to get a bit more damage down. Simultaneously, a double drop coming down from MMA, although that's all Marines. YoDa is going to be able to fend that off. Still in the main base of MMA. MMA having to lift there. Got a couple of auto turrets coming down, getting a bit of damage, but all in all, YoDa has defended behind this. MMA now supply blocked. Both players on the 1-0 upgrades, although YoDa about to get the +1 infantry armor. That's going to be important. The last tank for YoDa is about to get taken out, but not before significant damage is going to get done by YoDa's Marines. The Vikings taking a couple of pot shots at this. They've got to be careful though. If they get picked off, that would be annoying. Picking up, backing out of here, deciding enough is enough, and boosts away. Let's take a look at how that's affected things. So MMA has lost more now. He didn't lose too many workers, which is good for him, and he's also got his 3rd CC up. Has been able to alleviate that supply block, although upgrade-wise, he's down by an armor upgrade now. Also can't start 2-2, although if I take a look, nor can YoDa, who doesn't have an armory. Tank count is now heavily in MMA's favor, 6-2. That wasn't a good tank trade. And remember, the 3rd base is landing now for MMA. MMA is definitely ahead after that by quite a substantial amount. Having that 3rd base is just massive. The muling alone means he'll mine out a lot slower than that of YoDa. YoDa doesn't even have a 3rd command center built yet. He hasn't even started that yet. So this puts a lot of pressure on YoDa, who's gearing up for another drop, although I'm not sure how I feel about it, and that's all due to the sensor tower. This is providing a lot of information. He has got a double drop sneaking through, but a lot of Marines coming back to defend this. There's also the Viking picking off the medevac, so no retreat going to be available. The quad drop into the natural base does get down, does siege up. A couple of tanks will die for MMA. MMA going to have to deal with a few Marines heading in towards this 3rd as well, but you'll see that on the sensor tower. This is some good damage, nice position. MMA pulled back a lot of his army to defend the double drop in the main. Will end up losing that natural command center. That is a big win for YoDa. Still the scans coming on through. The tank count massively in favor of MMA. YoDa trying to decide where he wants to go. He can't actually get all these units out, unfortunately. Some of those are stuck. The medevacs unloading as quickly as possible, but a command center for maybe a 1.5 medevacs full of units, I'd take that trade. It now levels out that base count. Unfortunately though, the main is mined out for YoDa, so he's just going to float his main command center down towards that 3rd, and that's not a bad decision. YoDa is now ahead in the work count. He's pulling a lot more units across to go for this. Got the double drop queued up into the main base. MMA still can't come in from the south. Doesn't have actually any medevacs out on the field currently. MMA medevacs in total is only at 2, and they're with this army. YoDa's sitting at 5, so he's got a bit more drop potential, as we're about to see demonstrated. Coming into the main base, also moving around with some Marines and tanks, heading in towards the 3rd of MMA. And if MMA pulls back this army, his main base is going to run into trouble. So just bringing back a chunk of it, but is it enough? A lot of SCVs getting taken down. The double drop could load up and head straight down to join the rest of the army. That could be pretty huge. Trying to decide which way he wants to go. Manages to sneak out. Those are some slippery medevacs. Forcing some more of the units back, but MMA is going to lose a tank on the left-hand side as the majority of YoDa's armor comes pushing through. Takes down a few of those tanks very quickly. That means YoDa is now level on the 10 count, one aside, but the Marine count heavily in MMA's favor. Boost away now from YoDa, gets to safety, but he's done some good damage. Overall, workers killed 44-22 in favor of YoDa. YoDa has now floated down to this 3rd, so he does have an income advantage now by quite a substantial amount, because this natural base isn't mining any gas. One of the gases was taken down here as well, so MMA really struggling on that Vespian income at the moment. YoDa has brought this game full circle. Those drops being really effective, getting a good amount of damage down. MMA just couldn't be everywhere at once, and by that happening, it's just put YoDa in in a good footing. It is still TvT. They are still at relatively similar supplies. So turnarounds are indeed possible. This third CC does get up. It will help. But effectively, this main CC is offering a minimal amount of mineral income. That will soon be completely expended. But it will offer 2 gases that YoDa doesn't have available to him because he floated down his main orbital command to the third base. So both sides in an interesting spot. YoDa is going to fall a little bit behind in upgrades now. +2 infantry and +1 infantry armor on their way out for MMA. YoDa hasn't continued on any further upgrades, although his armory is nearly completed, and that's going to allow him to start jumping on those. Army supply, 72 to 94 in YoDa's favor. That's actually becoming a bit of a larger discrepancy. All of the overall supply changes are down to the army supply. The work count is pretty much level. Just one difference between them there in MMA's favor. Income-wise, things should be looking a bit more level now, although it's still actually in YoDa's favor, those minerals. I suspect that'll change shortly. Another Doom drop coming in from YoDa. He's committing to these. He's had success with them, but MMA, he's on top of things. He sees that scan going down, and he's like, yeah, I saw this previously. It was annoying, so I'm not letting that happen. YoDa sieging up. Going to be getting a couple of shots down. Starport for split back. Simultaneously, drop coming in from MMA. Both players being very aggressive this game. Both trying to get into a solid position to deal the damage nice and fast. Neither player actually reaching max yet this game. More shots coming through from these Marines. Good damage on their way. A tank is low, but it will survive. YoDa, on the other hand, he's just in a solid siege up position. This medevac is being a hero in the vision count. Drop from MMA will get taken down. Did pick off a couple more workers. This Viking has just been relentlessly patrolling as well, making sure nothing sneaky happens there. A few more Marines moving around. The third base of MMA is very secure at this stage, and YoDa gonna just back on out. He's like, okay, I can't really breach here. My army is in a bit of a weird spot, and the Sense Tower will alert MMA to that. He can see the fact they're moving through. He's also got the Watchtower, so definitely sees them pulling back. The Sense Tower really has been so beneficial to MMA for a lot of this game in terms of just seeing the army movement of YoDa and being able to react to it. +3 infantry attack coming through for MMA now, who's also got the +1 infantry armor. +2 infantry attack, about 2/3 done for YoDa at the moment, so he's a bit behind, actually quite a substantial amount behind overall, and that's going to be frustrating. MMA dropping into the main base of YoDa, and YoDa's production facility taking a bit of a beating here. One barracks goes down, the tank on the low ground going to be trying to get a couple of shells through. YoDa losing a couple of supply depots. This is going to supply block him, and that's really irritating. It's going to end up being quite a big supply block potentially here. Already down to 142 max supply. The Marines still backing away, trying to get to safety. YoDa donating a few, but that's because he's doom dropping into MMA's mate. This is full-on base race at this stage. They're both trying to slaughter their production, and whoever wins, that will be in a good spot. YoDa is up in the army supply, but losing a lot of Marines as he pushes into those tanks. Will be able to take them out. MMA had to pull back. His triple drop now heading in to the natural base. YoDa getting a lot of damage off. If he takes out all of these production facilities, he's ahead by 40-odd army supply before further production cycles. MMA trying to squeeze a couple more units through, but I don't think it's going to get there. All of MMA's production has now been gutted, and his standing army is all that's really here. It's down to just 33 army supply. Things looking very promising for YoDa at the moment. Moves down, drops onto the tank. GG is called. And YoDa is able to take this first game after 26.5 minutes in a very, very bitterly fought TvT.